Hey guys, Carl from Purple Misplaced. Today I'm taking a preview look at the Shackleton Series, the newest series of sort of escape room in a box style games from Escape Mail. This time it's a 6-episode series focused on the true story of Ernest Shackleton's expedition through Antarctica in 1914. Disclaimer, I was given an advance copy of the first episode of this series to make this video, but as always, I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion on this experience. With that said, let's head down to the table to see sort of what comes inside an episode of this game and the kinds of experience you can expect to come out of this, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I thought. All right, so before I begin anything here, I just want to point out two things. Number one, this is a prototype copy of the very first, of the game, but including only the very first of the 6 episodes in there. But also, doing this now, I have not sort of looked much into the box. I definitely haven't solved anything at this point, so I just sort of want to give you the experience of what I'm seeing as I open the box, sort of show you all of the things that come in there. Then off camera, I'm going to go ahead and play through the first episode, and then of course at the end I will come back and tell you how I feel about the experience that I had. So here is the box that I was sent. Again, this is a prototype. The box is not a real box. It's kind of a handmade box, and it's already kind of splitting. So don't, again, judge anything as far as component quality goes from what you see here, but I just want to sort of, again, give you an idea of what comes with this. So this is the box. Based on a true story, the Shackleton Series interactive puzzle adventure. And again, it is a 6-episode series, but I do only have access to the first episode. So looking inside the box, I've got a quick start guide. I've got the envelope for what is episode 1. And then you'll see in here there's a stack of cards. Episode 2, episode 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6, and then one that just says the Shackleton Series refill kit, which means to me that in this box will be plenty of space for all 6 episodes, as well as a refill kit if you'd like to reset and let somebody else do the puzzles. So taking a look here at the quick start guide, it says read me first. Synopsis: a shockingly true story of 28 men trapped in Antarctica for 2 years. Travel to 1914 and join Ernest Shackleton's historic crew as he survived the harsh landscape of Antarctica in the 6-episode interactive puzzle adventure. So it says, before you begin, gather friends, get pen, pencil, and paper, get a connected device. You don't need internet access, it says, to solve the puzzles, but if you want hints, there's access to soundtrack videos and sort of to learn more about the history. The internet is helpful. Then we're going to explore the contents, which I'm going to do in just a second. There's a game overview inside the envelope. Then there's a letter from Cousin JJ, which is going to sort of give you the story of that thing. Then an optional flow card that's going to allow you to sort of walk you through sort of the order of things that needs to be done, I guess. But if you don't want that, you can play sort of on the more expert difficulty level and not pay attention to that flow card. Then again, it says you're going to find clues using the journal pages, other contents, and the companion app. Solve mysteries that are going to lead you to words. There are 5 to 7 puzzles in each episode which yield a single word. Sometimes the puzzle will result in letters that spell a word. Other times you'll solve for a definition like a crossword puzzle. Then it says solve the meta puzzle. Using all 5 to 7 words that you've gotten, you're going to complete some kind of meta puzzle, which is a coherent phrase that's sort of the end wrap-up of that episode and will make some sense with whatever the story is of that episode. And at the end of all 6 episodes, you're going to use those 6 phrases to complete some kind of bonus final puzzle, which I don't have access to. I'm not going to be able to comment on, but I just wanted to show you that that's there. Then finally, you would obviously play 2 through 6, but then after I showed you there is a refill kit that will replace anything that's been sort of destroyed or changed in any way so that you could pass it on to let somebody else play. And on the back it just shows some of their other games. I haven't played anything yet from this company, so I'm excited to see how this plays out. So with that, let me set all of that aside and just bring out the envelope for this episode. It looks kind of like a canvas bag or maybe some kind of flag that's folded up. Opening up the envelope, we see like this. First, we've got a list of contents, the amount of time it's going to take, what you need, and so on. Again, teaching you how to figure out what's going on. Puzzle solutions will be words. Episode conclusion will be a coherent phrase. If I want to follow the the flow card, that's standard difficulty. Expert means no flow card. Now this is interesting here. They've got a time saver listed, which some pages are blue and some pages are red. So some things are marked as story pages and some are just puzzle pages. So if you're really just there to play the puzzles, you can focus on the puzzle and skip the story stuff if you want to. And you'll see here this one is marked as pretty close to pure fact as far as historical accuracy goes. So the flow card is here. I'm not going to show it to you because I don't want to ruin anything for the experience, but otherwise these all open up like this. And you'll see a bunch of stuff start coming out here, which I'm not going to show you a bunch of, but you can see I've got this sort of corkboard with a bunch of different things pinned to it. Objective of the mission, some notes, some pictures, and so on. I really do like the way that this looks like I'm sitting at a desk with all of this stuff pinned in front of me. There's a little baggie here with a red string in it, which is interesting. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of story, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 double-sided pages that are story only, 2 double-sided pages that are puzzle related. Again, I don't want to show off too much. Ooh, this is cool. Got a very cool patch here. Southbound Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition. Just a real sort of iron-on kind of patch. Very cool component. I've got this sort of list of birds here, or penguins. No, I guess not just birds, because there's a leopard seal. So these are just wildlife of Antarctica, more on this side. And here I've got a supplies checklist. Ooh, that folds out. That's kind of a notes supplies. On the back, some more notes. A telegram from the post office. And then the last thing in here, I don't know if this is going to fit on the screen. It might just. It is a very cool map of the South Pole. A little bit of a story here. And on the back side, looks like some kind of taxonomy chart that we're going to be probably using those animal cards I showed before. So that's basically it. I don't want to show you anything beyond that because again, this is a puzzle game, but I just wanted to show you sort of the kinds of things that come inside one of these kits. So far, I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing. Lots of cool sort of variety of found artifacts and objects like the string and this patch. And it all does fit very nicely inside that sort of fold-out envelope. But that's basically all I can show you as far as components go. I'm very excited to dive into this, so I'm going to go ahead and play through this first episode, and then I will come back and let you know my thoughts on what I've seen so far and sort of what I'm excited for or not excited for moving forward. So let me back up top, and I'll let you know what I think about this puzzle game. So I just want to come back for 1 second. As I was folding things up, I did notice right here in the center is an introductory letter that sort of sets things up. So I just wanted to read through that to give you a little bit more flavor about what's going on here. It says, "Cuz, it's your adventurous cousin JJ reaching out from the midst of history's mysteries. Guess what? I've laid my hands on some jaw-dropping 100-year-old documents related to the legendary Ernest Shackleton. The very thought gives me chills, and I can't wait for you to dive into this enigma with me. These documents, weathered by time and laden with the echoes of Shackleton's adventures, are a puzzle waiting to be solved. Literally. Turns out the crew made games to help pass the time, and these puzzles are all structured around their voyage. Your keen mind and knack for solving mysteries have been our secret weapon before, and I'm confident we'll crack this one wide open. Take your time to unravel the secrets they hold. What hidden tales of Shackleton's journey will we discover? I can almost feel the thrill of the unknown coursing through my veins. Drop me a line, see to the right, if you want to solve this mystery with me. I can't wait to share our findings and embark on another unforgettable adventure together. Cousin JJ." So 2 things, it does now then make sense why I've got all of these sort of found documents, but on top of that, Cousin JJ, the sort of way that this is done, I'm assuming that this company has other puzzles. Well, I know they have other puzzles, but I'm assuming that a lot of them are set up with this like Cousin JJ finds this thing, try to solve the puzzles kind of story, and I like that. And you can see here a QR code that's likely going to take me to the hint section, as it says, if you want to solve it along with me. So it sounds like thematically, the hints are coming from Cousin JJ, which is pretty cool to me as well. But again, that's all I'm going to show you. Meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about my experience with this puzzle game. Welcome back. I hope that overview was helpful for you. Now that I have played through the first episode, let me share with you a little bit of my thoughts on the experience. This will be a little bit of an interesting or a little bit of a difficult thing to do because I don't want to spoil anything at all for you in this experience or in this sort of puzzle game, because I did first off have a whole lot of fun playing through this. I do really enjoy what's going on in this box. I'm going to come to the puzzles in just a second because there's one thing I first want to talk about, and that is that sort of flow card system that I showed you in the overview. When I first opened this first episode up, I thought, you know, I've done a lot of puzzle games, lots of escape room in a box kind of games. I'm pretty good at these things. I tend to really enjoy churning through and digging through the clues left in there to get to the puzzle. So I'm going to go straight ahead into expert mode, not following the flow card. Now, knowing what I know now, and knowing without spoiling too much of anything, there is sort of a diagram or a picture of these sort of 5 different things that you're trying, the 5 different words that you're trying to get in this game, with sort of visual clues as to where you should be looking for things that lead to the answers or the words for those things. And if I had paid more attention, and now hopefully moving forward, if I play more of the games in this series or any series from Escape Mail, knowing sort of how that works, I think that I could probably do it without the flow card, because there's just enough of a grain of sort of hint or lead in that set of clues that you should be able to slowly piece together how things fit together. But this being my first experience from this company, I didn't know that at first, and I didn't see that at first, and it meant that I looked at all of these things and I said, well, this could combine with this and this could combine with this, but I don't really know what I'm looking for or how I'm looking for things and so on. And probably if I sat there for longer and played with it for longer, I could have gotten into it and figured it out without needing the flow card. But let me just say, I then picked up the flow card, looked at the flow card, and very quickly knew what I was supposed to do. Not how to do it, but what I was supposed to do. Because basically what the flow card is telling you is, for this puzzle, you'll need these items. For this puzzle, you'll need these items. For this puzzle, you'll need these items. And I don't think it ruins the experience at all. It just sort of gives you the push you need to try the different puzzles that exist in this game. Now, that said, moving forward, now that I understand sort of how the general outline or the general structure of these puzzles works, I don't think I'd be using the flow card again. But it was very nice to have it there to give me that initial push to say, this is what you need to focus on in order to start trying to solve this puzzle in this game. And it was very, very helpful to have it in there, and I applaud the way that it's done because, as I said, I felt very lost at the beginning because I didn't really understand how to start figuring out which things I needed to even think about coming up with words. And that flow card instantly took away all of that sort of mental overhead and allowed me simply to focus on how to solve each of the puzzles and how to use all of the things that it said I needed to use in the right way, or even in any way, figuring out how to use those things and how they combined to get to a word of some kind. So now that I've explained that, let's get into the puzzles in this game. There are, if I'm remembering correctly, 5. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting wrong. It could be 6, but I think it's a 5x5 grid. I think there are 5-letter words in this game, or in this episode of the game. And I have to say I'm very, very happy with the puzzles in this game, because a couple of things. There wasn't any puzzle in this game that sort of resorted to the same kinds of puzzles that you see in all of these kinds of games. These are unique, and they're clever. And more importantly, I want to say, you saw in my overview, it was a bunch of paper documents, a big fold-out map, a patch, and then that sort of punch out of those little animal squares that you can pretty much guess go with that taxonomy thing, as I explained in my overview. But for the most part, it's mostly printed materials aside from that red string and the patch that are in there. And the amount of different style of puzzle that comes out of such limited sort of variety of type of material in the game really impressed me. It really felt like I had a lot more sort of physicality to the game than I expected to have simply from those pieces of paper and the string and a patch. And also the variety of puzzles that came out in here. There were spatial puzzles, there are word-based puzzles, there are, I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but there are physical puzzles. And I don't mean that like you got to do jumping jacks or something like that, but physicality of the components that you have mattered. The clever usage of words and things that were written on things mattered. The visuals of things mattered. And it really felt like they took every aspect of every component into mind when designing these puzzles, and it made for interesting puzzles. And you saw in my sort of overview that they are trying very hard to keep everything thematic to the story while also coming up with interesting puzzles, and that really came through as well. Most, if not all, of the puzzles had some kind of thematic tie to at least the scene of the story, if not directly into the actual sort of narrative of the story. But that narrative of the story is also there in those letters that I showed you at the beginning, 2 of which are completely story only and not at all related to the puzzles, and 2 of which are still narrative but tied directly into the puzzles. And it really does feel like all of the components in here could be historical documents, could be actual found things that this cousin JJ actually put together for you to figure this out, could have even actually been historical sort of games and puzzles that the people on this expedition were playing with each other throughout the expedition. So it really is interesting to me how the theme connected to the puzzles and how the puzzles stuck with the theme and so on. And I do really enjoy everything in this game. Now, as far as hints go, I did manage to solve most of the puzzles on my own. There were only 2 small things that I kind of needed to use the hint system for. One of which was something, again, I don't want to ruin anything, something that I thought I was doing right, but wasn't working exactly the way that I expected it to work. And when I checked the hint, it was like, yes, you're doing it right. You're just kind of not quite doing it perfectly, so try again. And when I tried again, it worked perfectly and everything was fine. So that one I didn't really need the hint for. It was just a confirmation of, hey, you're on the right track. The other one that I did use the hint for was later on in the experience, and it was sort of, I kind of knew what I was doing, but somehow I just overlooked something that should have been somewhat obvious to me, and I just didn't see it. Which doesn't mean that that's a bad thing or a good thing. It just means that my brain was thinking in some way and it should have been thinking in another way. And that was a happy moment because it meant that I got to try out the app hint system. And let me say the app hint system is great. Really great, because what it does is it splits each puzzle not just by puzzle, but each puzzle has like steps. And then within each of those steps, it gives you sort of more and more suggestive hints with finally the spoiler, the solution. But the great thing is, because each of these puzzles is split into steps, even when you click on the part that is the solution, it's not spoiling the whole puzzle. It's sort of spoiling only the first step of the puzzle. And again, before you get to that spoiler, there's 2 or 3 hints that sort of push you further and further and further towards the solution of that step, which is great. Because when I checked the solution or what the hints for the puzzle that I was struggling with, I had already gotten past the first step. And then I was checking to see, and the first hint was just a little push like, hey, did you consider this? And then I went, oh yeah. And then I solved the rest of it by myself, which meant that it didn't feel like anything was spoiled. It was just sort of like, hey guy, look over here. And then I still got the sort of sense of accomplishment for having solved the puzzle. So to have a hint system that really does support you in your solving rather than sort of give you a step and say, now get the rest of the steps, it pushes you even within each step to sort of focus your brain on the thing that needs to be focused on in order to then solve the puzzle on your own and still get that feeling of accomplishment. And I applaud them for that. And while I'm talking about that, those hints are on the app, so let me talk a little bit more about the app because I hadn't looked at the app when I gave you the overview. The app is actually pretty cool because when you first load it up, you get a video from Cousin JJ, so it pulls you even more into this theme. He's sort of talking to you about the same things that were in that introductory passage that I did read in the overview. And then after you clear that video, you get a bunch of stuff. First off, there's background music and there's a timer going to keep track of how long you took to play through the episode. And then on the main screen are each of the different words that you're trying to get. Because remember, you're trying to get 5 words, I believe. I keep forgetting, and I'm sorry, 5 words. And then after that, you got to come up with some sort of coherent phrase from those things. Not those words themselves, but those words then work to make some kind of coherent phrase. And on that main page, you see these check boxes or these like click boxes for each of the words. Because basically what you can do is when you've solved the puzzle, or when you think you've solved the puzzle, you can go there, click, and just type in the word, and it will tell you, yes, you're correct, or no, you're not correct. Which is great, because if you don't want any hints at all about solving the puzzle, or solving that specific piece, you don't have to. You can just trial and error, trial and error. Here's the word that I think I've come up with. Is it right? Nope. Okay, then I'm going to try again. Means nothing's been spoiled at all, but I know that I'm not on the right track. So I'm not going to get to the end and can't figure out the final phrase because I've messed up something along the way that I didn't even realize I messed up. So that was really cool to see. And then there's a little question mark in the bottom corner that if you click, that's what brings up that hint system that I explained before. And then the cool thing is, at the end of everything when it's done, when you do have that final phrase, you go back into the app and you type into that final phrase, and you get a sort of end of episode wrap-up video, again from Cousin JJ, sort of continuing the story and sort of bridging the gap into the next episode. So while the app is not needed for this, because I solved everything aside from those 2 little things I mentioned without using the app hints, and I did shut off the music because for me the music is a little distracting. And I did accidentally pause, not accidentally pause, I did pause the app timer to go do something and come back to the game and forgot to unpause it. So I didn't even get an accurate time measurement of how long it took me to finish. But it's just really nice the way that everything's set up, and it really does look great. So while you don't need the app at all, and you can solve everything and just have a completely app-free experience for those of you who don't like digital implementation or digital intrusion into your gaming, this app is designed wonderfully that it does give you that extra bit of flavor. It does give you these cool sort of intro and wrap-up kind of videos. It does give you this really cool hint system, and it gives you this sort of simple way to just double-check that everything you're doing along the way works really well. I have to say I had a ton of fun with this experience. It said it should take about 1 to 2 hours. Again, because I paused the app, I didn't get an accurate number, but I'd estimate it took me about an hour and a half. And again, 15 minutes or so of that was me fighting with the game before I decided, heck, let's just use that flow card. So yeah, hour and a half is basically what it took me to play through. But again, this is a 6-episode series. So if you get all 6 episodes, hour and a half, 6 episodes is what, 9 hours, 10 hours for this kind of experience. Seems pretty good to me. And I would definitely enjoy following through with this. And I definitely look forward to going back and checking out some of the stuff that Escape Mail has already put out. Now, as I did mention, this is a preview, which means this is coming to crowdfunding tomorrow as I post this video, if you watch it as it goes public right away. In any case, I will put the link down below to that campaign so you can go and check it out for yourself and maybe pick up a copy of this if it does seem like something you'd be interested in. I'm definitely interested in playing through more, and I hope that this video was helpful. As always, if you did enjoy this video, I do ask you please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.